Hello, everybody. This is Whit of the Whitney West, and today I am going to share with you a little bit of my story, how I got from diagnosed to where I am now, which is in a very good place of living my life on my terms and making the best out of every little thing. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get started in just a moment because I want to respect your time as well as mine, especially if you're catching this on the replay, because I will be saving this to my IG TV, which will be on my main page as well. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because I have a special announcement at the end. So it is already 6:01. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start getting into my story. I have a lot of new people who recently follow me and welcome. So I just want to give you the background and let you know how we got here. So it was around 2013. And I was just at a place where I needed to get my whole life together. And then everything just kind of got derailed. Okay. And so 6 years ago, I have my notes here. I was diagnosed with a very rare illness, and it's so rare that doctors were essentially like, it would have been better if this was cancer because we actually know what to do with that. And when you kind of hear that something would be better as cancer, you're like, oh, goodness. So in this live, I'm just going to briefly go over my story and the 3 shifts that I made to let me get back control of my life and design a life that I really enjoy living. And I'm going to break down those 3 shifts after I kind of tell you a little bit more about my story and how you can be the best advocate for yourself. So I made sure I made notes so that I didn't forget any of the important parts of my story for you. So, as a reminder, I want to make sure you all stay tuned to the end because, as I said before, I'm going to have something special for you. It'll be an amazing free training on August 19th in a private Facebook group. So I'll tell you how to sign up for it once we're done. And the 3 steps I'm telling you about today, I'm going to break them down so that you can implement them. So going back to my story, around 2013, I was like, I'm about to get my life together. I'm about to be working out, eating right, doing all the things. I was living as, thought I was living, doing all that kind of stuff. In hindsight, I really didn't know what I was doing, what I was getting into, or what I really wanted. But I was like, let me just get control of my health. And so I was losing weight. And at the end of the year, everything kind of began to change. I was noticing that I was having trouble breathing when I was going to my apartment, up and down stairs. And I was just like, something's not right here. And I went to the doctor and was kind of ignored. So I wish I would have, in hindsight, been able to push back more. I got pushed back a little bit, but really not enough. And so I wasn't getting that much help. And so I just kind of went on about my business. And after that, I was living life again. I was like, let's live our best life. Let's buy some tickets to this Justin Timberlake concert. Bought tickets to this Justin Timberlake concert, was ready to go. And then my body was like, hold up. Ended up in the hospital. Ended up having to get my gallbladder taken out. And after I got my gallbladder taken out, I crashed like the next day. I stood up to go use the restroom and fell back down. And my oxygenation dropped down to the 20s. And if you know anything, you know how low that is, but I was still alert. I was able to talk. My body had been adjusting for so long that I was still able to operate, but everything was starting to shut down. So I was at the point where I had to be intubated. And I was in the ICU, intubated for 8 days. And during that 8 days, I had bleeding in my lungs, all kind of foolishness. My body was just giving up. But inside, obviously, I was fighting to be able to wake up. Just fighting for my life, essentially. When I woke up, I was lost. I was scared. I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. Like a tube had just been pulled out of my throat. So if you know anything about intubation, when you finally get awake, the tube is still in your throat, but you're awake. Hands tied to the bed, and I was frightened. I didn't know what was going on. And then like from there, it's like, oh, now you still have to stay in the hospital. No, we don't know what's wrong with you. But you're gonna have to leave on the oxygen if we let you leave. So I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Fast forward through the next months, from like March through August, I was in and out of the hospital getting tests, going to doctor's appointments, and like trying to get back to my regular life, which was hard. Like I was having trouble breathing when I walked. I didn't like having the oxygen with me because it was new and I was using tanks. And so it was just like a whole situation where I just felt like nothing was right. Like, why do I have to be subjected to this? And I was like struggling because who at the age of, I think I was 28, you have to have an oxygen tank with you to do stuff. I have to refill these oxygen tanks at night with a machine at the house. It's not working. I was just devastated and I just really did not know what to do. And then here comes August. And my mom has a major stroke and she almost dies as well. And it's just like, what is the point? You know, this year is just like, why? It's like, it was like the pre-2020 of my life. It was like nothing is going right here. And then the next month, like my mom is doing better. I'm back in Maryland because I go home to Arkansas to see her. And I go to my high school event in September. Having a good time. I'm feeling okay. You know, I'm kind of getting used to having the oxygen, so on and so forth. And I see a friend. And within like a week, I'm not feeling good again. But I had said, okay, this is just how it's going to be. I'm going to have this oxygen. So let me do some things in my life to make it better. So I had talked to my rental agent. I was like, I'm in this top floor apartment. I need to move to a bottom floor apartment. And I also need y'all not to charge me for it, moving and breaking this lease and going into another one. And so they were good. And they were like, yes, you can move to a bottom floor apartment. It's medical. And I was just like, okay, now I see like some of the stuff I can do to like make this better. But I end up in the hospital again, a week before I was supposed to move. And so I get there, my doctor is like, yeah, so we're going to keep you. I was like, no, I got to move. And I sound crazy. And he's like, this girl is in here talking about she needs to move when she is almost dying. Like, I had to be intubated again for a short amount of time. Like, that's how sick I was. But my mom was like, oh, no, bro, I need to be moving. I'm trying to get my life back together. You're not about to set me right back to where I was in March. But here we go. I was in the hospital for another 2 weeks. Thank God for my friends because they packed up my apartment and they moved me to my new apartment. And let me make sure I leave anything out because y'all, as you see, it's a lot. During that hospital stay is actually when I got my diagnosis of fibrosing mediastinitis. And I didn't know what it was. If you look on Google, there's a little bit more information now, but imagine 6 years ago, if it's that little now, there was probably even less then. And when you look now, there's still not any. I searched YouTube and I found one video of someone with the illness, and it was in memoriam, a tribute to this person who had passed away from the illness. So all of this information is going into my head about everything sucks right now. The only information I can find out about this illness is that somebody died. The doctors say that it would have been better if it was cancer. And it's just like, what point do I have to live? Like, why did I make it? Like, why am I going through this? And I was just like depressed and sad. But at a certain point, I realized that there were certain things that I needed to do for myself. If I was going to make it through this, like, I had to be my number one advocate. So I had to really look and see what are the things I need, and I have to make sure I get them. So the first thing I did was get that new apartment. So when I got out of the hospital the second time, I had a new apartment that was ground floor to move into that really helped me. If I had to go to that old apartment where I had to go downstairs and upstairs to get to my apartment, I would have like started my recovery struggling again. So things like asking for what I needed at work. So obviously working while you're hospitalized multiple weeks at a time is difficult. So when I went back to work, I had to say, I'm only going to come in a certain amount of days. I need to be able to work from home and to ask for these things, because contrary to popular belief, people think things sometimes are just given to you. Even in such dire straits, they're not just going to offer you, hey, would you like to work from home, or would you like an adjusted schedule, unless you just have a really great boss. These are things you have to advocate for yourself to get. And that was the first thing. I had to ask for adjustments with my friends. If we were going places, I had to say, can we go somewhere that you don't have to walk far for parking, or that has a parking lot attached, or can someone pick me up so that you can drop me off at the door because I can't walk? And these are difficult conversations to have with people who've known you for so many years, and then like at a drop of a dime, like everything changes. And even it got to a point where I was like, I need to get a new job that's closer to where my doctors are and closer to my apartment, so that I'm not on the road commuting as much, for the betterment of myself, even if that means doing something like taking a pay cut, which I did. Point 2 was radical acceptance for me after self-advocacy. So if you're just joining, I'm telling the story of when I got sick and like the 3 things that I really did to help me get to the point where I am now. So the first one was self-advocacy, making sure I stood up for the things that I needed. The second one is radical acceptance. So with radical acceptance, I had to accept that this oxygen was going to be here. Like, even if it left the next year, in that moment, it was here. So I had to accept that that was something that I needed, and to be able to get my mind around working around it. So how do I make it okay, even though I'm not okay with it? And that is through accepting it no matter what. Just because you accept something does not mean that you like it or enjoy it. It just means that you are aware of it, you know it's there, and then that gives you avenues to work around it or go through it. I had to go from tanks to a wheeled oxygen machine, which was better for me, but it made me be even more accepting of where I was. Like the tanks, you can kind of throw in the backpack, girl, but that rolling machine that I had, sis is a hunking machine. So it got to the point where it was like, beep, beep, here I come, I'm coming through. You have to accept how I am. I would roll over your toe if you don't get out of my way. Like, we coming through like we a little old lady gang, okay? So I was like, this is me. This is who I am. So you just have to accept it. I started taking pictures with it. And I slowly started talking about the things that I was going through, and found some more people, young Black women who were on oxygen or who had chronic illnesses, and was like, oh, not alone. Like, thank goodness, like somebody understands. And then the last thing was like really meaningful life planning. So like I said before, back in 2013, I felt like I was getting my life together. But in hindsight, looking back, like I was moving, but like, sis, where were you going? Like, you don't really know. And so I really understood at the point of, almost losing my life and then almost losing my mother. After I had been to that event at my high school, a friend that I had from high school that had a chronic illness, who I had begun to talk to about it, she passed away. And it was just like, you can't let life just pass you by. And she passed away doing something that she absolutely loved. And I was just like, if something happened to me today and I were not to make it, would I be doing something that I love? Would I be living a life that someone could say at least she was happy? And the answer was no. So I knew that I had to really start looking into myself and saying, well, what is it that I want out of life? What is it that makes me happy? And then I had to start making a list of those things and making an action plan and start acting on the things and seeing which things went together, which things didn't, and coming up with a really concrete plan and starting to act on that. And another part of that was also adjusting the plan if it didn't work for me anymore. I was on the East Coast. I love the East Coast. I was surrounded by friends. I had a huge support group, but it was not good for my illness. So I had to say at that point, I'm moving back down south. One, to save money because I had racked up some debt, having to live with the illness and not work and things like that. And then I needed to be closer to my family just in case something did happen to me or something happened to my mother. And it needed to be warmer because the cold was not treating me and my illness well. So it was like, I have to make these decisions. And that was part of my meaningful life plan, was to move away. So I was closer to home. I was near my niece. I've been getting like several degrees. Like I got a certificate. I signed up for this other program. I'm getting my doctorate, all of these kind of things. And I'm a lot more visible now than I was then. Like I'm always in these streets. Oxygen, not cute haircut or not cut off all this hair. I had a ton of hair if you knew me before. Like straightened, it was like waist length down here, but it was not productive for my lifestyle with this illness because my hands can get like cramped up. I'll be exhausted. All that hair, it was not working. So now that I'm much closer to home, I'm much happier than I've ever been. I've been able to go towards all my goals. Like I mentioned before, I'm in a doctoral program that I'm about to start. I further my career. I'm an advocate for chronic illnesses, and my confidence is highest as it's ever been. And I'm out here being the best TT to Reagan that I can be. I'm doing cardio again, and I thought I would never exercise again. And I'm paying off the debt that I accumulated when I first got sick. So that is my story. Like the 3 tools that I use to get to where I am now. Basically, if you're just joining me, I told the story of how in 2013 I was moving, but I really wasn't moving towards a goal. But I was like making some progress. And in the middle of that progress, everything got shut off by me having 2 major hospitalizations for over 2 weeks at a time, being intubated both times, one time for 8 days, one time for a day. And in the middle of that, my mother had a major stroke. And in this, I realized that, okay, I have this chronic illness that is so rare that the doctors are saying cancer would be better. And so after that, after having almost died twice, after having almost lost my mother and having lost a friend who was dealing with a chronic illness, I realized that I needed to make a shift in my life. And how I made that shift was going through 3 steps. And those steps were self-advocacy, 2, radical acceptance, and 3, planning a meaningful life. And so if you're feeling like you're struggling to have control in your life and you really want to figure out how to live your best life, how to get back in control, how to do the things that you really want to do, if you're looking at your life and you say, if something happened to me today, could people say at least she passed happy? Or at least she died doing something that she loved? And if that answer is no, I want you to join me on August 19th in my Facebook group for a free masterclass on about having your diagnosis, but not letting it derail you. So the title of the masterclass is Diverted, but Not Derailed: How to Live Your Best Life Despite Your Illness. So you can sign up for this masterclass in my profile. So we're on Instagram. You don't have to leave Instagram. You just go to my profile and you click my link, and then the first link will take you to the sign up. So I do want to be clear that this training is going to happen in a Facebook group. So you're going to have to sign into Facebook. So what'll happen is once you sign up for the masterclass, you'll get an email. The email will have a password that you'll use to get into the Facebook group. So make sure you read the full email and that you go to Facebook to join the group. And again, that'll be August 19th at 6 p.m., same time as here, Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that group will remain open for about a week after the training, and then it'll shut down. So you will have a week to watch it even if you can't make it live. So the training is really made for women who feel like their diagnosis or their life circumstances have put them in a holding pattern where they feel unfulfilled and directionless. And they feel like they're moving, but they're not really going anywhere. So they're exhausted, but they want to accomplish what they want in their life. So if you feel like that's you, or if you feel like you know someone who is in that, direct them to my profile. This is a free masterclass. So anybody have any questions? I don't see any. So I see everybody joining. So thank you all for being a part. I'm going to give it a second to see if anybody has any questions or any comments. Let me scroll through. Thank you for joining, Amon. None right now, Jasmine. Thank you. Well, if no one has any questions, but if you're watching this on the replay and you do have any questions or comments, I'm going to post this to my Instagram TV and the Instagram profile, so it'll be there. So if you have any questions, be sure to leave them there, and I will answer, and I will see you guys later.